Hey guys, this is gonna be a guide when it comes to how to play the newest addition to Reverse1999's character roster, Enigma.
Befreie dich von den Grenzen des Geistes.
First of all, let me tell you something about Enigma in general. He grants himself and all of his allies a stack limit increase when it comes to his signature buff ciphertext, and also a stack increase for Dynamos. That is the reason why you have to play him together with Dynamo characters, because the stack increase of ciphertext. More onto that in just a second. Additionally, he wants to be under the pulsing field level 3, and whenever he is under pulsing field level 3, he grants reality damage characters a flat out reality damage increase, while if you would play him together with mental damage characters aka Corvus and or Brome, he would grant those characters an incantation might increase. Therefore, you want to play him together with Lucy, as Lucy deals reality damage and profits much more from being played together with Enigma than characters like Corvus and Brome would. That is also the reason why we play Ulrich, as Ulrich has the best synergy together with Lucy. Everything that Ulrich does, Lucy profits from it way more than any other character in the game would. With Enigma himself, there are quite a bunch of things that are happening passively. I already mentioned the buff ciphertext, so let's go over that one first. Whenever any character, any of your teammates would transfer Dynamo into the pulsing field, a stack of ciphertext would be consumed, and that would lead to more Dynamos being funneled into the pulsing field than usual. At the start of every single turn, we accumulate 3 stacks per character of ciphertext. At the beginning of the battle, we accumulate 10 stacks of this ciphertext. We want to consume as many stacks of ciphertext, not particularly to funnel more Dynamo into the pulsing field, but more importantly, that when we would use the ultimate with Enigma, based upon how many ciphertext stacks have been consumed across the whole team, the more damage bonus increase would be applied to our team. This, without portrays, can stack up to 30 times. So before using our ultimate, we want to consume 30 stacks of ciphertext, if possible, to grant ourselves a damage bonus increase as big as possible. Then we have another mechanic attached to Enigma himself that is quite unique. That is called Loop Chain. That is also a buff that we can stack. We gain stacks of this buff whenever an ally actively takes an action, whenever an ally is attacked, and at the end of every single round. We gain 1 stack of this buff called Loop Chain. Once we reach 5 stacks of this Loop Chain, we cast an automatic attack that hits all enemies. Okay, now all of these things, they happen passively, and we don't really have to worry about those actively. There's only one thing that we have to worry about actively, and I will explain that once we hop into battle. But first, let's take a look into his incantations. His incantation number 1 increases the shield that we provide with Enigma, that Enigma provides passively anyways. Based upon how high is his attack stat is, the higher the shield from Bastion that we obtain is. That is important later when we talk about his resonance. Additionally, a thing that I should mention is that in theory, this Bastion makes you or prevents the first 4 control effects without portrays that are inflicted onto your allies. In other words, it makes you completely immune to control effects. Then his incantation number 2 deals a little bit of damage, grants stacks of cipher text, which is irrelevant, and we gain 10 Dynamo. All of this is completely irrelevant. This is only just so that, yeah, we have a little bit of extra damage in case we wouldn't need to increase our shields, and that is important because we will need to, or really want to, accumulate additional Moxie with Enigma. So with all of that being out of the way, let's hop into battle and see how things look in action. Here we are. Now, Enigma has an automatic attack, right, that I just told you about, called Loop Chain. Whenever he would perform this attack, he would grant himself a Moxie. And he starts the battle off, as you can see, with 3 Moxie as well. Now, you want to use his ultimate, if possible, every 2 turns. Because you grant yourself beneficial buffs like a critical damage increase and a damage bonus for your entire team. You want to keep these buffs alive at all times if possible. Therefore, you have to use Enigma actively here and there to accumulate an additional Moxie for him, as he will not perform his automatic attack enough to keep these buffs from his ultimate afloat. So you always have to keep that in mind. The very first turn with this Dynamo team goes as follows. You use Enigma's incantation number 2, you buff once with Sharon, you attack with the incantation from Lucy that you have previously enhanced, and then you use Ulrich's incantation number 2. Now, next turn, on round 2, we will have the Enigma ultimate available to us for the very first time. We of course gonna go ahead and use that. And then from that point on, we always only gonna spam stuff from Lucy and Ulrich. Plus, we have to keep in mind that we have to accumulate additional Moxie for Enigma so that we can keep these buffs afloat. So, round number 2 with this team goes as follows. You always want to use Enigma's ultimate at the very end of your turn. Why? Because before you use his ultimate, you want to consume as many stacks of cipher text as you possibly can. As I explained earlier, the more stacks of cipher text you have consumed before you use your ultimate, the bigger the damage bonus increase for your entire team will be. Keep that in mind, please. The way you're gonna accomplish that is by using incantations with your characters. Every single incantation that you use will funnel Dynamo into the pulsing field and therefore will consume a ciphertext stack as well. So gonna go ahead, use everything that you have with Lucy and use your incantation number 1 this time with Ulrich, so you have both channels active instead of just one. Then you're gonna go ahead and use the ultimate with Enigma. Instead of channeling the incantation number 1 in this turn with Ulrich, you could have also used the ultimate with Sharon. I found it to be more beneficial, since we use Lucy so much, to have that, to put a little bit of an emphasis onto channeling with Ulrich compared to setting up the ultimate channel with Sharon. That might just be a little bit of personal preference, but I found it to be more effective that way. You can do it in whatever way you like. Okay, now we have used the ultimate with Enigma, and now we need to see that we accumulate a little bit more Moxie with him, so that in the next 2 turns, round number 5 would be the exact turn in which we want to have our ultimate available one more time. So we're gonna go ahead and every single turn we use an incantation or maybe even 2 depending on the situation with Enigma. Now on round 3, this is the turn where you want to use the Sharon's ultimate. The channeling from Ulrich's incantation number 2 run out, you wanna reapply that. Then you're gonna use everything that you have available with Lucy. In my case here, that is just her incantation number 2 once. Cast an incantation with Enigma every single round from now on. That's what we're gonna do. And we can see we have Ulrich's ultimate available, so we're gonna go ahead and blast that. Now you will see that we used an incantation with Enigma that gives him 1 Moxie. He will perform his automatic attack once, at least once every single turn. That nets him an additional Moxie. So next turn we're gonna go ahead. We will use 1 more incantation with Enigma. He will perform his automatic attack, this one right here, grants him an additional Moxie. And yeah, we just gonna cycle this process all the way through, right? You can see that he just used his attack, that grant him a Moxie, has now 3 instead of just 2. We're gonna go ahead, as I said, use an incantation with him 1 more time. He will have 5 Moxie, boom, we have his ultimate available on round number 5 or turn 5. And other than that, we just gonna spam everything out with Lucy and with Ulrich. That's all we're gonna do. We never use Sharon, and we only ever use 1 incantation with Enigma. Preferably his incantation number 2. And that is gonna be how you play Dynamo together with Enigma in version 3.6. And this Dynamo team that you see here on your screen, that is the Dynamo team, and that team will never change again. So yeah, we can finally move past the Dynamo chapter, right? And keep in mind, or keep a little bit of an eye that you have always both channels active with Ulrich. That's gonna be about it. That's very easy, very straightforward. Every 2 rounds, recast Enigma's ultimate. Otherwise, spam everything that you have available with Lucy and keep both of Ulrich's channels alive at all times. That's how you play Dynamo. That's how you play Enigma. We can now hop into taking a little bit of a look into Enigma's Psychube and his resonance. The best in slot Psychube for Enigma is his signature Psychube called the Riddle's Limit, that is available in the story shop as it always is. What it does is, at the end of the round, if the carrier has a Bastion, damage taken -4% for 1 round. At the end of the round, if the carrier has transferred any Dynamo during the round, all allies gain damage dealt plus a certain amount of percent. This can stack up to 3 times, and we increase our attack stat by a flat amount. Enigma's resonance is gonna focus all about increasing his flat attack stat as much as possible. That is why we use the resonance pattern Hyper, because this piece increases our attack stat more than any other piece in the game would. If you want to use the same exact resonance patterns here as I do, then I will have a link to that in the description down below. Last but not least, a very quick look into Enigma's portraits. His portrait number 1 is here and would be a good investment if you want to play Dynamo, but you don't have Sharon. That is for the simple reason that you now increase all allies' Dynamo stack limit. That would be very, very good, as you have more Dynamos available to yourself. Thanks to ciphertext, you will funnel more Dynamos into the pulsing field. That would be the fastest way to get your pulsing field up to level 3, other than with Sharon. If you already have Sharon at your disposal, this portrait number 1 is 100% completely useless. His portrait number 2, yeah, this one is decent. It increases your critical damage bonus for your entire team by using your ultimate by a further 10%. It is 30% instead of 20%. Plus, every single stack of ciphertext that you would have removed increases your damage bonus by 2.4 instead of just by 2.0, you know? That is not a game changer at all, and it is not good enough, especially considering that the portrait number 1 is complete ass if you don't have Sharon. So those are the reasons I cannot under any circumstance recommend to you to get any portraits onto Enigma. His portrait number 3, 4, 5, those would all be quote-unquote just damage increases. His damage output is pathetic anyways. He's not here to deal damage. So yeah, I consider these portraits a complete waste as well. And my recommendation goes out to keep Enigma at P0. If you don't have Sharon, consider getting P1. And there we have it, guys. That's it for the video. That was my guide when it comes to how to play Enigma in Dynamo in version 3.6. I hope this video was fun and informative. If you like Reverse1999 content in general, please consider leaving a follow on my channel. I would really appreciate it. But until next time, take care of yourselves, have a great day, and we love this game.